As you can see today, there is a little bit of a change of scenery. We're at a completely different angle, and that's because for the video today, we're doing something really exciting. I'm doing a 1-hour song challenge where I'm gonna make as much of a song as I possibly can in 1 hour. Nothing is pre-written or predetermined, and for the challenge and the kicker today, I can only use one synthesizer. So I'm gonna be using the Arturia Polybrute 12 for every single sound. Other than drums and percussion, I will allow myself to use one sample pack, but all of the basses, pads, keys, plucks, leads, anything like that will be from the Arturia Polybrute 12. Even if you don't have this synth or you don't have an analog synth to follow along, I think that this video will still be a ton of fun, and I'm gonna have the plugin interface on this open, so even if you don't have this synth, you can try to recreate some of the stuff that I'm doing. However, I've been working with this thing for a couple months. I bought the original Polybrute years ago when it came out, and then when they released the Polybrute 12, they actually reached out, wanted to get my hands on it, get my feedback, and so they sent this one over, and I have been just really experimenting with it for about 3 months, and I feel comfortable enough to kind of dive in and try to make a song only using it today. So I'm not being paid for this video. They did send this over for me, but I did buy the original Polybrute. I was like one of the first Polybrute adopters. So with that said, I'm excited to do something analog based. Let's dive in because this video is going to be long. I'm going to start the timer. I've got 1 hour starting now. Boom. And I'm going to drag that off screen so you don't have to look at that. And then here is the interface. So the Polybrute does have an interface that you can use. So if I, pull up a different preset, everything will kind of go along to that. And if I, tweak anything on here, it'll also tweak it on the synth. So now that I've done that, I'm going to kind of just find an initial sound, and we're going to see what we can work with. I do have a little template over here. So I have MIDI that I can send out to my Polybrute from any other keyboard in the studio. I also have the Polybrute Connect. And then this is where I'm going to track all of the audio back in. So I'll probably arm all 3 of these just for whatever I'm tracking on, and then I'll be taking audio and MIDI for basically everything. I think I'm about ready to dive in. I took 1 minute explaining that. Let's come up with some ideas. I'm going to just start searching for like keys. You can do it on the synth. You can also do it on the little app over here. So if I just click this, I could go to keys and I could just pick one. Let's just try this. That'll update on here. Let's see. Turn it down a little bit. That feels pretty good to me. I want to start with like a simple sound because we're going to be building a lot of texture and movement. But for right now, I want something simple. So let's get a tempo going. We're at 90 BPM. So I'm going to change this over here to match the rate just in case we decide to use any delays. And then I'm just going to start playing around. Yeah, I like that. We'll track that up. All right, so I dug in, kind of got some aftertouch happening with a warble. However, I think that what I will do is clean up this MIDI. So we're not actually going to use this audio. I'm going to clean the MIDI up and then basically send it back out. So now that that's done, what I like to do is just set a loop. And what I'll do is I'll kind of, as I'm tracking in the audio, I'll just start to automate things like cut off. I'll start to maybe automate like the XYZ pad over here. Let's get this going. Cool. So I'm just going to automate that pad. Let me pull this back up actually so you can see what we're doing when I start messing with all that. So now I'm just going to essentially duplicate this so I can keep this as my Polybrute in. And so now that's like an actual synth track that we have. I'm gonna delete that MIDI, I don't need that. Now let's try to find some extra sounds or make some extra sounds that can kind of go on top. Ooh, that's kind of nice. Just kind of loop this up and see what we can get. Kind of like that to go over top. Let's play around with some of these effects. I want to add a little bit more delay. And I'm going to change the rate to match 90 BPM. Play around with the reverb level. Play around with the stereo adjustment. Play around with some modulation. I want to go to chorus instead. Let's run this as an insert. Because now if I run it as an insert, now when I do the master cutoff, it'll still kind of process that. Rather than it being a send. Actually, maybe I do want send. Let's adjust this reverb time a little bit. Adjust that intensity down a hair. And I think I'm going to track that. And let's just see. All right, I don't like that last thing I did, but I do like this lead quite a bit. What I'm gonna do is, again, I'm just gonna loop this MIDI, and then I'm just gonna allow myself to play filters, play modulation, play morph. All right, I'm gonna pull this back up so you can kind of see. Okay, now I'm just gonna, like I said before, automate things. Perfect. Now we've got a lot of variation. I do just want to fix this loop back here. I actually like how that does that, so I might let that ride. I just blend them. Let's duplicate this onto its track. Cool. It's been like 14 minutes. We still got time to play around. I'm going to try out different patches. I feel like I might do like one more melodic thing, then we'll put some drums and I'll try to get like a bass line on it. I want something that's got full aftertouch. Yeah, something like that. So on the Polybrute, the one has it too, but Once you get to the Polybrute 12, there's Aftertouch for all 12 voices, where on the original Polybrute, you have Aftertouch, but it's just for the whole keyboard. So, like on this one, if you play... Every voice on the keyboard will have its own Aftertouch where you can get really, really crazy. Let me go to another one that has like an even crazier... Here we go. So as you dig in, it opens that up. It's really, really sick. But let's play around. Maybe I just like do some cool stuff like that. That sound is cool. I think it's just doing too much for what I need. Let's try a couple more. I want a little bit more of that like granular vibe that you get for a lot of these. That's kind of what I want. Let's bring that master cutoff down. And I kind of want to change the waves. I want something a little bit more gritty, I think. Let's give it a bunch of delay. It's not quite doing what I'm wanting. Let's keep playing. Cool. Now I've got some randomness. I'm going to treat that like ear candy. We're going to make that its own track. Poly ear candy is what we're going to call it. I do just want to filter this. All right, I'm going to play around with some drums real quick. That'll be most of what I want. I'm just going to do some drum processing. I want to send the drums to their own lanes so I can process them. I'm trying to give it that like tapey, almost like something you'd hear in like the new Bon Iver record. All right, let's go to the drum bus, add some vibe. I'm gonna turn the snare down a little bit, see if I can find like a little hi-hat loop. All right, now we're just gonna cut all this. Boom, boom. Let's hear what we got. Now it's time to add fun stuff. I do want to add some kind of bass. So rather than flip through here, since I've already got this pulled up, let's just see if we can find a cool one. That'll work. All right, what I want to do is I want to change the pitch. So all I'm going to do is hit setting and then go to expression control, hit number 3 on here. Go to bend range, and I'm changing this to 12 semitones. Hit setting again. One more time. Boom. Now we're good. Maybe I'll do something like that. We're getting there. See if we like any of that. I like this. I can work with that. Might pull that down an octave. I might not keep any of that part. Okay, I think we have plenty. I'm going to try to structure this out a little bit. I just want to find cool little like stabs and stuff now to add in. just to like add a little bit of flair. That's kind of cool for some brass stabs. Just trying to find little filler ear candy stuff now. Maybe we'll make a patch from scratch. I'm gonna go to the init, get some sub in there, get some metalizer, get some noise, send these to both of the filters, get some phaser, some reverb and delay, set the tempo to 90. That's kind of cool. Get that stereo wide. Do some LFO stuff over here, put it on square. Mess with the cutoffs a little bit. Cool. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to change a little, I want to add a morph. So I'm going to go to morph. We're going to hit number 5, which is copy A to B. And then now we're going to go to 2, which is edit B. And I'm just going to change this. So now when we go from A to B, I just realized I should have had the thing up that whole time, but it's okay. We're gonna click out of morph. I'm gonna turn this noise down. Let's hear that. All right, it's got a little bit too much noise, and a little bit too much of that like pulse widthy sound. Let's try an octave higher. Cool. I'm going to play with that a little bit in the DAW. Kind of just going to do some granular stuff. All right, I've got like 5 minutes left. I'll just play around, do some weird atmospheric stuff, see what I can come up with. I found this cool little preset called It Doppels. That's kind of nice. Let's try that. That was a cool little thing. What the hell? No way. Cubase just crashed, which I've literally never, ever seen. Let's see what our backup was. All right, let me redo all that. I'm not going to count that. Okay, I found the preset. It took a couple minutes to get that back up, so I'm going to give myself 2 more minutes. Basically, all I'm going to do is lay down this lead and then rearrange it and show you what we came up with. Okay, I've got everything tracked. I'm going to give myself like 1 little minute, get everything organized, and then we'll hear what we came up with. All right, 1 more second. I just want to add 1 little loop and then I'm done. All right, here we go. This is what I came up with in only an hour using 1 synth. There's actually not a ton of tracks happening, but there's so much movement because the Polybrute has XYZ control. There's, you know, multiple things happening in it. So I don't need a ton of tracks to make this feel really big. No mixing or anything. Let's just hear what we came up with. Sweet. I'm pretty happy with that. The reason that I like using analog synth, specifically something like the Polybrute, is like you get these cool little moments in here that honestly you just never really think to program. Just where stuff starts getting really distorted, getting really weird. That's so fun. And then like this little area, like these little imperfections and happy accidents. There's just so much extra texture that wouldn't be here otherwise. But that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this 1 hour challenge. If y'all want to see me do another 1 hour challenge with any other synth in the studio, the Juno, the Mini Moog, that might be a little bit harder because it's only monophonic. Any kind of VSTs, let me know. Once again, thanks so much to Arturia for actually sending the Polybrute 12 for me to check out. I love the original so much. I'm so glad I got to get my hands on this one. But we'll be back next week with another video. If you like this, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to support us, head over to makepopmusic.com. Also, I released a song earlier this week called Hypothesis, so if you ever want to listen to my music, there's a link for that in the description. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week with more videos. Much love. Peace.